Space, the final frontier. These, whoa, Star Wars. Okay, Star Wars. This is the review of champions, and I am your host, Grandmaster. With me is a powerful panel made up of the finest champions Sakar has to offer. Let me introduce them to you. Voice only, Mr. Lorddeathman. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
On camera, Merv. How are you, man?
Fantastic.
And Mr. Taylor first. How are you?
Great.
Today, we're going to talk about part 6, 7, and 8 of Ahsoka. Yeah, I was out and there was some issues and we're late. I know, but stay with us. But before we do, I want to ask you all to help us out. Like and share this video and subscribe to our channel. And if you really can't get enough of us, you can join our ranks, sakar.freeforums.net. Set up that account, get to know us, and join us in our review or podcast. Not only in the comments, you can be on camera or voice only and joining us in the discussion. We would love it if you do that. Consider this your final warning. After this point, the spoilers are incoming. So if you haven't seen these episodes yet, go do that first and then check out our review. All this for a lame switcheroo and a setup for future things. I was disappointed, but let me ask my champions how they felt. Starting with you, Mr. Taylor, first. What did you think about episode 6, 7, and 8 of Ahsoka and the show as a whole?
I liked the last 3 episodes, and I really liked the show as a whole. I thought it was pretty much peak Star Wars. I knew the ending was going to be open-ended. I look at this as sort of a Empire Strikes Back season, where Thrawn is now returning, heir to the Empire, and setting up things for the future. But I thought all the action was great. I thought the characters are great. I thought that it brought some new stuff into Star Wars, or at least some stuff that most of the fandom may not be familiar with. And I thought it was really well executed.
Okay. Lorddeathman, I mean, they get one character out of a faraway galaxy and put some others there. So, yeah, what's the point?
Yeah, I have to say this show as a whole has given me an opportunity to kind of low-key fall in love with the character of Ahsoka. She went from being a really sort of low-energy character at the beginning of this and just not feeling like she had the urgency there. But as you watch more of the choices that Rosario makes with Ahsoka, it's like I get it. There's this Zen master thing that she's trying to do, and I think it's pretty new in the sort of Jedi lore, in terms of all of the great characters that have played senior Jedis and very experienced Jedis and angry Jedis and all this kind of stuff. She's got a what I think is a really great new take on that paradigm. There was enough in the last 3 episodes of Ahsoka for me to say that the show is genuinely a win. There was some stuff like the switcheroo that you mentioned that are like, this is odd. This doesn't go anywhere. I don't like these particular characters, but I think I would definitely tune into a season 2. But the biggest thing that this show has accomplished, and I'll wrap up here, is that for me, Star Wars kind of ended probably on Endor. I'm like, okay, let's wrap this up. We beat the Empire. There's some stuff that happens, with some rejects, the First Order. They come back and they try this whole thing all over again. But for me, like, I didn't really want to learn about this other galaxy and like witches and all this other stuff. But Ahsoka has like firmly pulled me into what I'm going to call the new era of Star Wars, which Filoni is clearly trying to use to establish expanding the lore of Star Wars and telling new stories beyond the confines of what George Lucas kind of set up.
Okay. I'm gonna try again. I need somebody on my side. Merv. What? Yeah, it looked all cool and stuff, but come on. They switch around a few characters, and then what? What happens now? I mean, Thrawn is back, so
Yeah, as somebody who, and I've said this earlier, I didn't watch Rebels. I didn't really watch too much of the Clone Wars, so this was my first introduction to a lot of characters that are in the show, and Ahsoka included, aside from the small bit pieces in the other live action Disney Plus Star Wars stuff. But yeah, when it's all said and done, it was just kind of like, now all these characters are over there, and now all these characters are over here. And is anything really different aside from the threat to this particular galaxy as opposed to this one? I still don't even know really. I don't want to get too much into it yet. But yeah, I could definitely see where like you look back at it and you're like, well, what was the point? For me, it was kind of fun because I don't know anything about these characters. So I got to meet a lot of them. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of questions in that the ending that I understand it's the beginning, but it's also like I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't an Ahsoka season 2 and instead we get like an Ezra season 1 because everyone's over in the faraway galaxy and not that they can't come back. They can easily write, they ship another ride on those whales or whatever, but it's just yeah, I don't really understand why they left it on that kind of would you even call it a cliffhanger? I'm not really sure, but that lead into the next thing with so many separated characters again. It seemed like that was the whole point of this season was to bring other characters back together, and then we left this one and everyone's still separated. So yeah, I could definitely see frustrations there.
yeah. You could say Ezra and Sabine. I don't know if they're lovers, but at least they're star-crossed. But anyway, Lorddeathman. I want to have your elaborate thoughts on those last 3 episodes, but I'm still gonna bash into this show that I didn't really care about. But
That's fair. And there,
that
it's not perfect, but go ahead.
yeah, that hearing for Hera, she gets like called into a meeting, and there's that senator again that definitely don't want to hear anything bad happening. He turns a blind eye. If that's deliberate or not, we will find out hopefully later, because otherwise it's just stupid. And then you get a Deus Ex Machina and a cool cameo of C-3PO.
A cameo.
I was oh sorry, short scene with C-3PO. Before I get my credit deducted with Taylor. But anyway, what was the point of that whole Hera storyline? I mean, so she could help Ahsoka? No, she didn't really. So she could meet Ezra Bridger at the end. Was that the whole point? I really don't see it.
You're right. I mean, structurally, there really wasn't a point to that. But I think in the larger picture of Star Wars, there's these cliches and these tropes about Star Wars now that are kind of like baked into the mythology and the idea that you have quote unquote rebels, people who are going to defy authority and try to do things their own way. They're against the bureaucracy. They're take charge, take action. So that kind of two-fisted, I'm going to break away from how things are done, the serials pulpness of it all. It's hard to shake that out of the Star Wars DNA. But I agree with you. It didn't really add much to the series as a whole. I don't really care for Ezra Bridger as a character. I think Sabine is pretty vacuous as a character. She's like the opposite of a character. She's just like a character trait that she's a contrarian. Like that's the whole character. You tell her to do something and she's going to do something else. And that just makes her predictable. But again, I think Rosario Dawson as the anchor to the show really helps with that, putting together, finally having her character sort of coalesce into something that I could latch on to and really understand her motivations, her journey, like what this is all about for her. I thought the Mickelson as Grand Admiral Thrawn, also playing a fairly sedate Imperial officer, and he doesn't have all of the Grand Moff Tarkin-ness of it all. He's not yelling at people and blowing up planets. He's much more methodical than he would be in the animated show. And I mean, zombie stormtroopers. Look, Lord Deathman, stormtroopers rising from the grave. They had me. I was like, well, this is different. I didn't know Filoni had gone there with the mythology, bringing in the witches and the magic. And again, you're taken aback for a second. You're like, space whales. I don't know. Is this really Star Wars? Like your nerd instincts kind of put you off for a second. But then I'm like, okay, I get it. He has to move this universe beyond a galaxy that is far, far away. So he's literally moving the action to another galaxy. He's giving you new characters. He's giving you new scenarios. I think there's fertile ground for a season 2. They're in an entirely new environment. There's an entirely new mystery to sort of a whole new landscape and new planets to sort of tame and establish. This is Star Trek. This is Star Wars. I'm sorry, growing for lack of. It's expanding. But I get it. Those characters that you mentioned and the swap from galaxy to galaxy, dumb. DUMB exclamation mark, dumb. There's I don't know what the point of that was either. But if you gave me another season to follow Ahsoka in this new landscape, dealing with new threats there, discovering new mythology about the Force, growing this whole thing organically, I'm there. And I think that these last 3 episodes, while not perfect, and kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say lazy in terms of the writing, but lacking maybe a certain amount of sophistication or nuance, or whatever you want to call it. It was certainly engaging enough for me to give them fairly decent marks, and in some cases, maybe even high marks.
Mm-hmm. Well, marks we do later. Yeah, sorry. I keep making lame jokes. I'm sorry. It's I can't help myself. Merv, yeah, can you give me your elaborate thoughts? I give up. You guys love this show too much.
Yeah. Especially in the last 3 episodes, I thought the action was spectacular. I loved all the little fight sequences with this galaxy's version of Tusken Raiders, and then like the little snail guys, I thought were adorable, and then the circling whenever there was like basically they were circled in encampment. I actually thought that the snail guys were gonna. The Snailians, as I referred to them, were going to, whenever they were in there with all the levers and their big shell things were actually like lever. I thought they were going to go like World War II tank mode. I thought the machine guns were going to pop out and they were just going to start blasting. But turns out they were more peaceful than that. I was really hoping for an aggressive snail tribe, but whatever. But yeah, I thought the action there was really great. I loved. The characters of Shin and I'm sorry, I'm drawing a lot of blanks today. Baylan. Baylan. I loved their characters. I hoped for a little bit more clarity on what his scheme was, what Baylan's scheme was, or what he was after, or what he was going for. Clearly, there's something there that maybe they'll get to. I don't know. I kind of hope they recast the character and continue that storyline just to tell me what was even going on there, because they are alluding to things that I don't, if they tell me in other media, then fine. But yeah, I don't really know where that's going, and I kind of wanted to, because they got me really interested in that character's arc. So that was cool. I don't know, I liked Shin, but I don't know about, leaving her with that Raider tribe. Obviously, Ahsoka and those people are still on the planet, so maybe there's conflict there. But that kind of, maybe she'll actually be the character that goes and continues Baylan's arc or forum or something. I don't know. But, where that character ended was a little bit kind of like questionable as well. But I liked their arcs, those two characters' arcs, and I'm curious to see if they do anything more. I am always, witches and zombies and stuff. I'm always in for that. So even though it was very like, it felt a little out of base for Star Wars, it still I enjoyed pretty much all of that. Whenever they, especially when the stormtroopers like rose from the dead and started attacking again, it was like, you guys better run because I don't know if you're going to survive this. So that was pretty cool. The big bad, Thrawn, his introduction I thought was great. When I there was like a parade of soldiers and the music and everything. I really thought that was great, and I really liked his character here. This is my first exposure to him too, along with pretty much everybody else. But I thought it was the best introduction for villainous characters since Dustin Hoffman as Captain Hook. I thought that was great too. But yeah, so that was good. I think maybe because this is a Rebels sequel, I didn't care about Ezra Bridger pretty much at all. I really wish the show made me care more about him, so that when his reunion with Sabine or his reunion with Hera at the end, like those didn't affect me at all. They didn't give me like butterflies in my stomach, or I'm not happy to see them. They didn't build him up, and then they throw him in there in the last couple of episodes, and then he's off doing his own thing, and he wasn't even really a part of the climactic battle. So I don't really know if they wanted me to care about that particular character. I know he's like a main one in Rebels, but as far as the Ahsoka show goes, he's like an afterthought to me. Like he was the MacGuffin to get them there, and then he just disappeared and didn't really affect the story for me whatsoever. So I'm sure he'll be part of the next episode of this, whatever this continues into, whether it's at Ahsoka season 2 or whatever they're going to do. I'm sure he'll be part of it, but as of right this second, that's kind of it fell flat for me, very flat. Yeah. But overall, I really enjoyed this series. I thought it had a lot of just, kind of classic Star Wars action adventure vibe to it, and I was really in for it.
Mm-hmm. Before I go to Taylor, Lorddeathman had a follow-up.
Just a quick one. I wanted to try and sort of nail down why characters like Ezra and Sabine don't really resonate with me. And I think it goes back to the fact that those characters are so built around being worldly and kind of snarky and a little sarcastic and always kind of ahead of the curve. With their dialogue and how they're relating to each other. There's not a Luke Skywalker character who kind of starts a journey as someone who's kind of naive and really open and not the one who kind of knows everything, has to kind of go through an arc. They kind of need that, and I just wanted to follow up on what Merv was saying in terms of why those characters feel a little weird and empty. It's maybe a lack of development.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. Taylor, let's have it. Your elaborate thoughts on the last 3 episodes of Ahsoka, season 1.
Like I said, overall, I liked the last 3 episodes. I agree that the hearing scene was dumb. It's a trope we've seen a million times, where the people who actually have the ability to affect something or do something just won't believe and just won't listen and just guffaw at everything. I think they kind of needed to establish the Hera character here as part of the wider universe. They probably felt they needed to introduce her to the live action audience, because I'm hoping she plays a bigger role going forward, whether in the movie or if there's a season 2. And then again, for season 2, I was thinking that there's all kinds of ways they could go. The movie could take place in the original galaxy, with Hera and Ezra and Mandalorian team up to stop the Thrawn, and then Ahsoka's not even there. She just does season 2 of her own show in the other galaxy. Now, I don't want that to happen, but I think it could be a possibility depending on people's plans and schedules and all of that. What I'd like to see is either in the movie or in season 2, Ahsoka and Sabine get back to the original galaxy. Even though they're like Lorddeathman said, there's a lot of stuff to explore in this new galaxy that I'd like to see. I also really liked Shin and Balin, and I'm really wondering to see what they're going to do in the future on that other planet. But I liked what this show did in the last 3 episodes. Again, the action was all really great, and again, I like the bringing in of the zombie troopers and the witches. I liked the climax with I'm forgetting the character's name, but the witch that was in the Prime Galaxy and then traveled with them to the other galaxy, and they gave her an upgrade as a reward for whatever she had been doing. And I thought that kind of glimpse into this whole witch society and how it works and what they do was kind of interesting. And I hope it carries forward in wherever this saga is going in the future. Sabine, you all know in the first episode, I did not like Sabine at all, and I was not familiar with it because I hadn't watched Rebels. She was just completely unlikable for me in that first episode. After that, not so much. I mean, she wasn't particularly likable, but she at least wasn't unlikable. So, and I think she did go through somewhat of an arc, and because she was kind of, she was super snarky and pushing back against Ahsoka, and she resented Ahsoka for leaving her and all that stuff. But she got over all of that and realized, there's a whole galaxy at stake here. There's, there's work to be done. Get over your pettiness. But I thought, and Ahsoka herself, I thought was really good. Rosario Dawson did a great job. I see people online, saying, "Oh, she's not acting like she did in Clone Wars." Well, she was a child in Clone Wars. Of course, she acts different now, And she's come a long way, and she's been through a lot of things, and she's learned stuff along the way. But I'm kind of torn because I would like to see, a little bit more on this other planet. But I'm, obviously there's no limitations. They could come up with a whole nother universe over there, a whole nother trilogy of movies set on that other planet. But I also want to see Sabine and Ahsoka get back to the First Order and stopping Thrawn mission as well. I do want to see that team up of all of them get together at some point. So I'm a little bit torn at that point as far as like where they left it. But I'm hoping they wrap it up. Like I said, I see this as sort of a Empire Strikes Back moment, and hopefully fairly quickly in the next moment, whether it's next season or a movie, they wrap up that piece and they get back together, and then they go to Endor, wherever the climax is going to be of stopping Thrawn and his zombies and his witches.
Throw in a couple of werewolves and the
There you
show's
go.
complete.
Some werewolves.
I hope Filoni never sees this, because otherwise he may do it.
Well, wasn't there a Wolfman in the original cut of the bar scene in A New Hope? There was a Wolfman that they later digitized out and put in somebody else.
Oh yeah,
Bring back that species.
George Lucas changed a lot in those movies. But anyway, that pretty much sums up our review. Then we have only one thing left to do, and that's rate. I give you guys all freedom to rate these last 3 episodes separately. You can do it together. But I also want a rating for the whole show. Starting with you, Merv. How you want to do this?
I will give episodes 6 and 7 9s out of 10s, but I will give the finale 8 out of 10, because there were just too many cliffhangers for the satisfying ending to a season for me.
And the whole show?
Yeah, whole show. I'll give it a solid 8.5. I did really enjoy a lot of the characters here, enough so that I'll probably look into watching the Rebels cartoon at some point. So to me, that's a good thing. If it's going to get me interested in the rest of the universe, more so than I already have, that's got to be a good thing.
Okay. You're going to be busy then. Taylor.
I guess I'm giving the last 3 episodes and 9 out of 10 collectively. I'm giving the whole season 9.5.
Okay. High marks from Mr. Taylor first. And he knows his stuff, so pay attention, people. Lorddeathman.
Yeah. So for the last 3 episodes, I want to give the finale. I kind of am torn about. So I'll start with 6 and 7, and those 2 I can fairly confidently give an 8. I think they had enough to offer that they are strong, solid episodes without much that was wrong with them. But I do agree with Merv on that last one. This one is so hard to do, but I'm going to give it an 8.5. So that's 2 8s and an 8.5. I'm going a little higher on that finale, only because while it did leave a lot of cliffhangers, I think I was really intrigued about the possibilities that it left in terms of where some of these things could go in this new environment. So, yeah, hopefully I did justice to that. But looking at the whole series now, unfortunately, it scores a little lower for me. I want to put it in above average for Star Wars, but not peak. So it's going to get a 7.5 for me, Ahsoka.
Fair. I'm going to go for episode 6. I'm going to go 8 out of 10. I actually really enjoyed that one. Episode 7 had that hearing in it, which made no sense at all to me. So I'm going to go 6 out of 10. And the finale, I'm going to go 7 out of 10. This whole show, I will also give a 7 out of 10. That's my verdict. And that's what you have to deal with. Anyway, this will conclude this review of Champions for part 6, 7, and 8 of Ahsoka and Ahsoka as a whole. We hope you have enjoyed our discussion today. If you did, you can help us out by like and share this review and by subscribing to our YouTube channel. And if you really want more of us, you can join our forum at sakar.freeforums.net. We would love it if you do that. Well, please make sure to check out our Loki review series as well. It's running currently on our channel. And yeah, there's something special coming, but later more on that. For now, I want to thank you all, also on behalf of our champions, and I wish you to be safe and be well. Bye.